If you want to understand world power in 2026, don't look at presidents or borders or speeches. Look at the runways. Right now, 7 fighter jets are deciding how nations negotiate and how alliances form. They even shape how close the world gets to war. A single squadron arriving in a region can calm a crisis or ignite one. A new radar mode can shift a maritime border. A weapons upgrade can force an entire country to rewrite its defense plan. And in 2026, those upgrades are coming faster than anyone expected. And today, we're taking you inside the machines that quietly control global strategy. This is Flying Core, and if you love understanding the real power behind modern geopolitics, hit that subscribe button now, because the world's most influential jets are moving and their impact is only getting louder. The F-35 is the first jet in history that doesn't just serve one country, it creates an ecosystem around every country that flies it. By 2026, it has become the backbone of a multinational nervous system stretching from Scandinavia to the Pacific. The aircraft does more than provide air superiority. It stitches together the air forces of Europe, the United States, Japan, Australia, South Korea, and Israel into a single interoperable network. This makes its geopolitics unique. When an F-35 deploys, adversaries don't have to worry about one air force. They have to worry about all of them. Its new computing core and evolving software packages allow these jets to share threat maps across oceans. In 2026, the rollout of TR-3 hardware and early Block 4 features pushes that capability further, turning each jet into a sensor hub with more processing power than any fighter before it. A radar track identified over the Baltic can influence naval positioning in the Mediterranean. A missile launch spotted in the Pacific can trigger alerts for pilots over the Arabian Gulf. It turns one pilot's cockpit into a regional command post, a power no other fleet can match. That reach makes it a quiet diplomat. When it appears near Russian borders, the tone of their missile posture changes immediately. Its arrival in the Pacific limits the operational freedom of rival air forces. And in the Middle East, even the hint of an F-35 patrol can de-escalate tensions simply by reminding everyone who can see what. The F-35's power in 2026 is about connection. It is the world's first fighter that makes alliances act like one organism. That alone reshapes geopolitics. Across the Pacific, China's J-20 is doing something very different. It doesn't unify nations, it tests them. Every time a J-20 flies near Taiwan or moves through the South China Sea, it broadcasts a message: China's reach is growing and its confidence is expanding with it. The jet's long range and powerful sensors mean it can fly deep patrols without escort, and its very shape signals an ambition far beyond regional defense. In 2026, the J-20 becomes more than an interceptor. It becomes a political instrument designed to stretch the boundaries of normal behavior. China's increasing use of the J-20 to shadow U.S. aircraft and pass over disputed waters forces every nation in the region to rethink how close its own air force is willing to operate. There's a strategic rhythm to it, and Beijing understands it well. Fly too often and the world notices. Fly too little and deterrence fades. So China flies the J-20 just enough to keep every flashpoint warm. The jet's technological evolution amplifies that strategy. Reports of AI-driven target recognition, extended long-range missile trials, and new counter-stealth radar modes give the J-20 an aura of fast-moving capability. And new images of production lines suggest Beijing is accelerating output, adding weight to the J-20's growing presence. Whether these upgrades are fully mature doesn't matter. In geopolitics, perception can shape reality. And in 2026, perception is the J-20's sharpest weapon. The Rafale is a geopolitical force not because of what it threatens, but because of where it lands. Few jets in the world have influenced diplomacy the way the Rafale has. Every new nation that buys it gains not just an aircraft, but a partnership with France, a country known for blending military exports with political support. By 2026, the Rafale has become a symbol of strategic independence for countries that want advanced capability without being tied to American or Chinese systems. India uses it to counterbalance China and Pakistan. Egypt uses it to hedge between global powers. Greece uses it to stabilize a tense Aegean theater. Indonesia acquired it to assert autonomy in Southeast Asia. Where the Rafale goes, new relationships follow. The F-4 standard solidifies this influence. The F-4 standard entering full service in 2026 brings major sensor and data link boosts without forcing operators into expensive redesigns. And the upcoming F-5 standard promises even deeper integration with drones and remote carriers. The kind of capability that builds long-term contracts and political alignment. The Rafale doesn't just fly, it negotiates. And in 2026, diplomacy is as important as air superiority. The Su-57, even in limited numbers, carries heavy geopolitical gravity. Russia treats the jet less as a mass production weapon and more as a symbol. A demonstration that it can still produce next-generation capability despite sanctions, resource constraints, and the pressures of ongoing conflict. Whenever Russia releases footage of the Su-57 firing long-range weapons or operating under heavy electronic warfare environments, the message is less about military prowess and more about resilience. It tells foreign markets and political allies that Russia's aerospace industry continues to function. To NATO, the message is different. Russia hasn't abandoned its next-gen ambitions. And it tells potential buyers, particularly nations looking to avoid Western pressure, that alternatives still exist. The Su-57's influence, therefore, isn't in its numbers, it's in its narrative. And in geopolitics, narratives can be powerful. The jet helps Russia maintain leverage in conversations with partners such as India, which watches the felon closely as it develops its own indigenous jets. It also reinforces Russia's claim to continued great power status, even as economic realities strain its defense sector. The Su-57's geopolitical impact in 2026 is subtle but persistent, a reminder that Russia's aerospace ambitions aren't going away. The Kf-21 isn't fully operational yet, but its influence is already accelerating. Block 1 prototypes continue weapons testing through 2026, with full operational capability expected later in the decade. For South Korea, this aircraft marks something deeper than a generational upgrade. It represents independence, the ability to build a near fifth-generation fighter without relying on American or European designers. What that means for Asia over the next decade is bigger than most people realize. The Kf-21 proves to regional players that there is a third path between US and Chinese aircraft families. It shows that advanced aerospace capability doesn't have to be imported. It can be engineered at home by nations willing to invest heavily in research, testing, and industry. Countries like the Philippines, Malaysia, and even the UAE watch the Boramae closely, seeing in it a potential future fleet. And its success strengthens Seoul's position as a rising defense exporter, capable of challenging price-sensitive markets traditionally dominated by Russian and Chinese jets. But the Kf-21's biggest impact lies in its symbolism. It tells the world that South Korea is no longer just a consumer of advanced weapons. It is becoming a producer, a peer in an increasingly multipolar market. And in a region where self-reliance is becoming more valuable every year, that message is powerful. The F-15X is a paradox. an aircraft design older than many of its pilots, yet more relevant in 2026 than at any other point in the last 20 years. Its geopolitical power comes from something simple but extremely rare in modern jets: reach. The F-15EX can carry more weapons, fly farther, and stay in the air longer than almost any fighter on Earth. That combination gives the United States and its allies the ability to project power into regions where tankers are vulnerable, bases are limited, and long-range standoff weapons need reliable launch platforms. In the Middle East, the aircraft reassures partners who have built their entire air doctrine around the Eagle. For Indo-Pacific planning, it serves as a heavy strike asset capable of covering enormous ocean distances that stealth fighters can't always span. And for Europe, its presence signals a commitment to rapid reinforcement and strategic depth. The F-15EX changes calculations wherever it appears. It makes adversaries rethink their entire air defense models in their simulations, but also the arrival of a heavily armed long-range platform capable of flooding contested airspace with advanced munitions. It may not be a fifth-generation aircraft, but in the geopolitical landscape of 2026, it is a stabilizer. The kind of jet that keeps pressure steady and options open. The Eurofighter has always been fast, agile, and technologically formidable, but in 2026 it becomes something more strategic. Europe's security climate is shifting, and the Typhoon is evolving with it. The new long-term evolution upgrades give the aircraft stronger electronic warfare suites, more flexible radar systems, and improved networking that brings it closer to next-generation interoperability. For NATO, this matters enormously. The Typhoon forms the backbone of several European air forces at a time when the continent is under the greatest pressure since the end of the Cold War. Its presence along the eastern flank acts as a constant signal to both allies and adversaries. To allies, it represents rapid response capability and shared burden. To adversaries, it demonstrates that Europe can escalate air power quickly, decisively, and collaboratively. But the Typhoon's greatest geopolitical value is what it prevents. It narrows the margin for miscalculation and limits the appetite for risky probing flights. And it strengthens the air defense umbrella that keeps deterrence credible. In 2026, NATO's stability depends heavily on the Typhoon's readiness, and that makes it one of the most influential jets of the year. 7 jets. 7 different philosophies of power. Some unite alliances, some intimidate rivals. Some remind the world that old powers haven't disappeared. Together, they show how much of today's geopolitics is shaped long before leaders sit down at a table. The real signals come from the air. From what nations fly, where those aircraft appear, and whose radar screens they light up. If you want to keep tracking these shifts with us, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Flying Core. The next major change in global power may start with a takeoff you don't want to miss.